Hello everyone, this is Blair with Boulevard Recording and Boulevard Recording Academy. So if you notice, I've been making a couple of Beatles recording videos. I actually wanted to make a mix video based on the earlier sounds of the Beatles. What I want to do is I want to show you guys some great plugins made by Waves and UAD that I use even when I'm not mixing Beatles type stuff. And I also want to show you guys on the console basically what they were dealing with a 4-track and how they would get a balance. Hey guys, so we're back in Pro Tools here, and I'm going to show you on the console what's going on. So as you can see, we got channel 1 here, which is bass and drum. So live, when they did this to a 2-track in 1962, this was these two channels here. We got basically the instruments. This was channel 1. And then vocals were channel 2. And I think when they mixed, what they did was they would add like a live, they somehow added an overdub and then a chamber. But the chamber was recorded on the early stuff. So I think what they did was they actually printed the chamber. To my ears, on the stereo mixes on this early stuff, it sounds like the chamber was left in the middle. So, you know, they got it on the desk, and they printed it with the performance, as far as I know. So when it came to mixing, there wasn't a whole lot to do because they basically got their balance as they were recording. Now when they got to 4-track, that rule still rang true because they still were down. They had a rhythm track channel, usually bass and drums. They had a guitar channel, or guitar, acoustic guitar, piano, and they had a vocal channel, and then they'd usually save the last channel for vocal overdub, percussion, maybe a piano too. And the chambers here, it's let's say the chamber doesn't represent the tape machine, but it just represents the mixing console, whereas these 4 would be the Studer J37, so it would be 4 channels. They didn't get to more than 4 channels until Sgt. Pepper's, when they found out a way to actually kind of sync up 2 machines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how easy it is to balance 4 channels. So check this out. So this is from me to you. I recorded this with my buddy Brendan. Well, actually I recorded this a while ago, but Brendan came in and played drums. I'm going to tag the video below where we did drums with Brendan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, let's start with the overdub, because that's the most familiar part of the song. I'm just going to bring together a balance here. So as you can hear there, it didn't take a whole lot to get a good balance. Maybe a little less chamber. Sounds pretty good. So let's check this out. I'm going to do this in real time. We're going to play, and then I'm going to put this in stereo. Make sure you're wearing headphones. Check it out. Let's check it out in stereo. So, it still sounds great. Now I did pre-mix this. I did get levels on each of my individual tracks here. As you can see, I got a couple of tracks, but not too many. I didn't record any more than they did. So we got a bass. We got a bass mic, kicking overhead, one mic on John's guitar, one mic on George's guitar, a vocal mic for John, a vocal mic for Paul, which these would have been on the same microphone. So this would have been one channel. these two guys would have been combined on one mic, U48 and figure 8. So let's see. So like if I bring up the vocal channel, let's check this out. So I'm going to put this back in mono so it turns up in the middle. So you can hear the J160E electric acoustic guitar. I actually sung and played that live, the John part at least. The Paul part I didn't. I overdubbed the bass. But you can hear him strumming, and you can hear the drums, and you can hear the thump of the bass in the room with on the vocal channel. Check it out.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. I got everything that you want, like a heart that's oh so true. Just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. I got arms and lungs to hold you and keep you by my side.
So that's pretty cool. So also let's go back and let's do the guitar and the drums. Let's hear what these are doing. So when you bring that in, you get a little more ambience. You get some of the room. You get a more acoustic, plucky sound off of John's guitar because he was close to the mic when he sung it. And you know, if George was singing or playing close to the mic, you'd probably hear his guitar too. But I don't feel like he was on this recording. So now I'm going to go through. I'm going to show you some of these plugins. We're going to leave this stuff up, and I'm going to come back to you. And we're going to talk about some plugins here in the session. All right, so I just want to show you guys a couple of things plugin wise. So this is the J37. So I love this thing. Let's solo the bass. So this is the early tape formula 888, which I'm using because this is an earlier recording. And the nice thing about this is it has the level tie. So, you know, I'm going to copy this. Shift Apple C, if you don't know, copy your plugin. So let's push it. So you get pretty dirty, which is great on drums. We'll come back to that. But I usually tie them, and when you really hear these is when you use a bunch of them. So if you look, I've got a J37 across every channel on this, and even my mix bus. Even though they didn't dump to J37s, if you use them all over your mix, you're going to get more out of the tone of it, because it is very much a plugin that that when you use a bunch of them, they, like a console or a tape machine, you get a sound. So this is on everything. Let's check it out on the drum. Let's do this again. So this is, I'm going to do C again. You hear all that? I mean, that sounds pretty awesome. Go back to how I had it. It's our bass and our drums. Okay, let's look at the red 3751 plugin, which I love.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do.
So I'm gonna put this in take it out of bypass now.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do.
So it's subtle, but I'm taking out some lows and I'm boosting a little bit of high. Notice I'm in the pop EQ setting.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do,
but even so,
just call on me.
Even so, at 10, I gotta say it's still pretty musical, and that's why I love these EQs. They're so musical. Now you'll notice up here there's a Red 51 and Red 37. So the earlier Beatles stuff was on a Red 37 machine, which had V72s. So this is meant to simulate that. You know, I go just depending on what I'm working on. If I'm running it down and mix, I'll go back and forth. This is a bass lift, so it's cool they added this, but it's kind of pointless to be honest, because you don't have a red desk and it doesn't mess with your low end. There was some sort of loss of low end with their makeup amps, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. When they would track through the red desks, and so they had this bass lift that would make up the bass loss, and that's what that's for. So
If there's anything
again, you can also distort this thing. So
if there's anything
this is a drive.
if there's anything that you want,
It's
if there's anything I can do.
you're gonna notice the difference in sound when you go back to the 37 to the 51. You're going to get a slightly different distortion. That's because they're different tubes that are being modeled.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, if there's anything that you want,
So lastly, I want to show you guys,
that you
let's bring in the Paul and John vocal here, and let's bring up the wonderful Abbey Road chamber. So
if there's anything that you want.
So I'm going to put this in stereo because it sounds pretty cool in stereo. So we're going to go back here. We're going to go to stereo.
If there's anything that you want.
So this setting I've worked on for a while. I went back and I compared different recordings of this era. I'm gonna put this setting out. I'm actually going to make a few, and it's possible Waves might include them on an update at some point for this. I'm going to call this Abbey Road 62 chamber. As far as I can tell, this version of the plugin is a representation of how the chambers exist now, and that is it's a bit shorter. I'd say probably a half a second shorter than they were in the 60s period, these chambers.
If there's anything.
But one thing that you're going to notice, still, that's what, maybe a 2-second reverb at the most, I would say. So you're going to notice on a lot of these early recordings that they really used pre-delay a lot, and they would send it on a tape machine, and I've got this up to 111 milliseconds, that's pretty big for a song that's, I don't know, what's our tempo, 135? That's a pretty big pre-delay. But what they did was they used the pre-delay to make the reverb sound a lot longer, and they were very smart in how they did that at Abbey Road. And you'll hear that on a lot of the recordings. You're never going to hear a really long reverb. If you're listening to the Capitol masters, they actually ran some of those masters through the Capitol plates. I don't like those masters. I think they're too washed out.
If there's anything that.
So something neat about this, some things you might want to try messing with here is I generally like the speakers facing the wall as opposed to the room. And I generally like this classic position, but I have been playing around with the B&W speakers and the MK2Hs.
If there's anything that you want.
A bit darker, a bit warmer than this.
If there's anything that you want. If there's any.
So you can see there's a lot of options here. The crossover, I think they cut the bass pretty high on these recordings. There's not a lot of low end going into those chambers. I'm just below 600 here. And for the top, with me referencing recordings and mixes from the era, I put my crossover about 5.5K. These are the old filters that they've emulated here, and they put an EQ on as well, which is one of the box EQs they made eventually after the console. The red consoles, top and bottom weren't enough at some point. And I've read that it was because they ran out of EQ. They would run out of boosts. Like they would be boosting stuff all the way up, bass and treble. And this Brilliance boost gave them an option to boost even further. Somebody was saying that with the Coles on the overheads at Abbey Road, they would boost it at 10 dB at 10K. And I think I backed this off and compensated down here as well, but I'm boosting a ton on, let's check this Coles out. Anyway, I'm bouncing around. I know we were talking about chamber, but we're going to talk about this EQ since it's featured in the chamber. Let's do it, no EQ. Pretty dark. There's a little bit of the red console. And this is a soft tube plug-in, and it's fantastic. And it's actually funny enough is they somehow left this thing a DSP, so you can actually use these while tracking if you're running a native or an HDX system in Pro Tools. They're great. You can boost Coles a lot, and they're very forgiving. And I actually prefer these EQs on the Coles of just about anything I own. Let's listen to the end of the song, and we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna show you my master bus really quick. So again, J37. Yes, I love the UAD, Fairchild. So, pretty friendly here on the J37 on the mix. Pretty much have left it at unity, just kind of kissing it. The red console, no EQ. I'm just using it as a pass-through and using it for mono. And again, I'm not doing much here either. Tonally, all this stuff just sounds great. I'm blocking out at 63 here for now. That's it. The Fairchild, barely touching it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and share. And also comment if you have any questions about what I'm doing or the plugins or something you want to see in one of the next videos. At the moment, we're going to kind of make these Beatles recording centric. Coming up, there's some really exciting things. If you saw our From Me to You video where we did the drums with our friend Brendan, we're also going to be doing a Sgt. Pepper's, and we're going to have some pretty cool gear. We're going to have a Fairchild, we're going to have lots of microphones. It's going to be a really fun video to make. I'm going to show you guys also how to record some guitars. I've been getting requests on guitar recording for each era of the Beatles, and I'm going to be making a video on that as well. And also, more exciting, I'm going to show you guys some of the later mixing techniques and some of the cool plugins that Waves makes. And then for the finale of this series, we're actually going to do Abbey Road drums. If you guys want to request which song we do, please comment below. Same for Sgt. Pepper's. If you have a song you want us to do on Sgt. Pepper's, comment below. I'm leaning towards A Day in the Life because it's very drum-centric, but I'm open to all suggestions.